We can also equate or convert equations from rectangular coordinates to polar coordinates. Right now I have a rectangular coordinate equation. So let's equate that into polar coordinates. So do you remember what x was? X was r cosine theta. Y was r sine theta. And then equals 5. So we rewrote it in terms of our polar coordinate variables, theta and radius, or theta and r, rather than x and y. Now let's solve this in terms of r. So I'm going to factor an r out. Cosine theta plus sine theta doesn't equal 1. It would if they were squares. So we'll divide both sides by that. So r equals 5 over cosine theta plus sine theta. So x plus y equals 5 is the exact same equation as r equals 5 over cosine theta plus sine theta. One's just written in rectangular form, the other one is written in polar form. Another example that we can convert between rectangular equations to polar equations. Again, remember x and y's. We want to rewrite this in terms of r's and thetas. X was r cosine theta. So we have r cosine theta minus 1 squared plus r sine theta squared equals 1. Work this out. So we have r squared cosine squared theta minus 2 times r cosine theta plus 1 plus r squared sine squared theta equals 1. Looking at to solve that for r, let's add -1 to both sides. And I'm going to get my r squared and cosine squared together. So I have an r squared cosine squared theta plus r squared sine squared theta minus 2 times r cosine theta equals, subtract 1 from both sides, equals 0. Factor out an r squared right here. I'm left with cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta minus 2 times r cosine theta equals 0. R squared, cosine theta, sine theta, that's just 1. So then I just have a r squared minus 2r cosine theta equals 0. Looks like I can factor out an r from both of those. So r, then what's left is r minus 2 cosine theta equals 0. So this is true when either the first term, when either r equals 0 or r minus cosine, 2 cosine theta equals 0, or when r equals 2 cosine theta. So there's my solutions in solving this one for r. R equals 0 is just a point. That's at the pole. And so that one will not include. And so the remaining one is r equals 2 cosine theta. That is equivalent to x minus 1 squared plus y squared equals 1 in rectangular coordinates. Its polar equivalent is r equals 2 cosine theta.